If you are just joining a pleasant welcome to the Hour of Politics. Yeah, focus on Liberia. On the Hour of Politics, we talk politics, but responsibly, intellectually, and we do analysis as well. Did the Supreme Court of Liberia finally decided to bite? Don't be mean to me. Hit that share button. I got something classical for you. It's old school. If you are not old school, you missed this one. Your host is Anthony Sierra. Your network is focused on Liberia. And of course, the program is the Hour of Politics. Share the broadcast with your friend. This is how you participate. Old school music still got me going here. Well, every good thing must come to an end. We will get the program started here. And so if you have not shared yet, it is time for you to do so because we are about to break things down for you. And so, folks, let's do it.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
And I am Anthony Sierra in yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome to the broadcast. And I cannot welcome you enough. At long last, Minister Tweah was humble and he was legally subdued by the full bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia. Yesterday, we brought you information that Samuel D. Tweah, the finance minister of the Republic of Liberia, received a writ of arrest from the full bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia for his failure in making available 2 months' salary and allowances of members of the Supreme Court of Liberia. And not only members of the full bench, but judges and staff of that branch of government have not been paid for over 2 months. They have not received their September pay. They have not received their October pay. And according to information that we have reliably received, the finance minister was approached many times about this issue. And the finance minister was also asked to appear to show reasons why the Supreme Court of Liberia or the judiciary branch of government has not been paid. And Samuel Tweah has refused to appear before the Supreme Court of Liberia to give reasons why they have not been paid, or he has not been able to pay them as the chief paymaster of the Republic of Liberia. And so the Chief Justice decided to show some leadership and flex some muscles. And I believe it is within the right of the Chief Justice, because judges and associate justices and stars of the judiciary branch of government, they have one of the most sacred responsibilities to perform in our nation, to dispense justice. And we know that justice in the land must not be for sale. Justice should be done to all men and women, if I may add. And so to not be paying people who are charged with the responsibility of dispensing justice, all right, interpreting the laws, you, by your failure, is more than telling them to do otherwise. And when justice is for sale in any country, in our case, Liberia, that is profoundly corrupt, to allow that corruption to have reasons to penetrate every court in the land, folks, it's like a suicide mission for justice in the land. And so the Chief Justice have had enough. Other judges and associate justices have reached out to us. Hey, and by law, when you are a judge in our country, the Constitution of Liberia prohibits any judge or associate justice to have any other job in the country. When you become a judge and associate judge of Chief Justice in the land, you are only obliged to carry on your work as a judge, as an associate justice or chief justice, and you do not have any right to work anywhere in the country. Even at your own private law firm, you cannot work there. That means that the only salary you are entitled to is that which is being given you as a judge, an associate justice, and chief justice of the Republic of Liberia. So this judge should not be subjected to any temptation whatsoever to put justice on the table for sale. For if a judge does not take pay for a month or two, when our judge has a family to feed, when our judge has children to send to schools and many other responsibilities to carry on, as a father or as a mother, in fact, as a citizen, as a human being who have needs and responsibilities, if that person who is charged with that sacred duty of dispensing justice is now paid for a month, at least to talk about 2 months, that one and only salary that person is entitled to, what do you expect, folks? Hear me well. At some point, it got so tough during the term of Justice Tweah. The Chief Justice has given instruction to judges to improvise. How can you allow that to happen? Now, to improvise meant if a citizen show up to court, that citizen would be the one responsible to provide stationery for their case to be documented. Really? Why if a typewriter or a computer is down Is he going to ask the citizen who has taken a case to court to be responsible for that? And what if this judge's son is yet to register and there's no food in the house? What is that judge supposed to do? And if that judge is tempted with money, wouldn't that judge be having some reason to take it? And the reason would be because the finance minister of the country has not paid a judge or the judges or the associate justices or staffs of the judiciary branch of government, many of whom, especially those charged with the greater responsibility as judges and associate justices, they don't have the right to work any other place. They are entitled to one single salary only. And that has been taken away from them for 2 months. You, by that action, breeding corruption in their minds, and that subsequently put justice on the table for sale. And when justice is on the table for sale, corruption permeates the society. Look, you have to understand this thing. It's simple. It's not complicated. Judges in our land, the Supreme Court of Liberia, the judiciary branch of government, is that institution that is charged with the responsibility to look into matters that have the propensity of bringing conflict, confusion, crisis in the land. When people are aggrieved, they go to court for redress. Some of these people might be poor people, or in our case, many of them are poor people. Either the land being taken away from them, or somebody sold a piece of land to them illegally, and they spend the money. Many cases we've heard, and that person has gone to court. Maybe that's the only little money that person had, and they wanted to get that piece of land so that they will be able to build a home for their family. And then someone duped them in the process, and they show up to court, aggrieved, blood-boiling. They want justice, and they show up to a judge or the clerk. Say, I'm here. I have an issue here. I want to file this case. I'm here to sue this person. Say, well, we don't have stationery. I can't do anything. Really. At least to talk about going into adjudication of the case. And if that such person has no money, and the person they sue maybe has so much money, justice will be delivered to the one who has the deeper pocket. Thereby, that citizen leaving that court and not getting justice. That person becomes an angry person. That person is not happy with the system anymore. I don't want to go too far because I think you've seen the picture. Look, folks. So Samuel Tweah, because of his failure of paying the judiciary branch of government after promising to do so, and not only that, when he was called, he has refused to appear. And so the Chief Justice had meeting with the associate justices, have meeting with the judges, have meeting with staffs of the judiciary branch of government. And they agree that she, as the head of that branch of government, should reach out to Samuel Tweah to have a conversation with him that the judiciary branch of government needs to be paid. Judges don't have anywhere to go to get other money. They can't take money from citizens showing up to court to get justice. So she reached out and she promised the staff, the judges, and associate justices that something was going to materialize. They had a meeting. She had a meeting with the staff. And in that meeting, folks, they had agreed that at least by the 7th of November, the justice minister, the chief justice, assure staff force at the judiciary branch of government, assure her colleagues on the bench and other judges that at least they would get their salary for the month of September and October on or before the 7th of November this month. A promise she made to them, to her staff, to her colleagues, and other judges. That promise did not materialize because Samuel Tweah failed to pay them. But that Tweah will find huge amount of money. They are not prepared to disclose to us the amount of money they made available for President Tweah Strip. Eugene Namwe, who is a confidant of the president, a confidant of Tweah, who knows everything that goes on into this government, will not be able to tell us how much. And by law, these people, when the president is traveling, there must be a budget. We as citizens need to know, but they are telling us we must go to use our, Freedom of Information Act. We should go and file, for the information before we can get it. So the question is, where is the transparency? You're not stealing money. The president is traveling. In your best judgment, it makes absolute sense for the president to spend, or for the government to spend, say, about $1 million United States dollars to travel for 7 weeks. In your judgment, it makes sense. And you think it's justifiable. All right? And that the money spent, Liberia is going to benefit. So why are you hiding it? Up to now, we don't know. The point I'm making is, why judges and judicial staffers have not been paid for 2 months. This finance minister made available money, if not in the tune of millions, or $1 million, or maybe in a tune of several $100,000, because they can't tell us. What are we supposed to say, right? So you promised the people you would pay them. The Chief Justice had a conversation with you. You made a commitment, and so she went and assured, members of the bench, judges and staffers, that before or on November 7th, something was going to materialize. At least they were going to get their October and September pay, and that did not happen. Samuel Tweah was called. He did not show up. That is why the full bench issued a unanimous writ of arrest for Samuel Tweah to appear and show reason why he should not be held in contempt for his failure to pay the judiciary branch of government. And so, folks, we got Samuel Tweah. Our camera pick him up. There he is. As you can see him, you see how he's looking? He was summoned in court to show reasons why he shouldn't be held in contempt for his repeated refusal to appear and to pay members of the judiciary branch of government. There he is. And at the court, we had our reporter there. Samuel Tweah begged for mercy. There he was, or there he is now in this picture, standing and answering questions from the full bench of the Supreme Court. The 12 who will not appear, now the Supreme Court tried to stretch its muscles a little bit. He succumbed and appeared. And now he has to make a big promise that he will do something within a week time. Tweah was seen begging for mercy, for he knew he did not behave well. How can I just come to that? He promised to appear, or he refused to appear. He made a commitment, he did not fulfill that. Tweah is on record for talking about raising record-breaking revenues. that the budget has gone up to 800,000 plus. So what is he doing with all that money? And the judiciary branch of government that is under-budgeted has not been paid. These judges and associate justices don't have anywhere to go to get money. What is budgeted for them is about 8 million or less. That is the entire judiciary branch of government. And it's not on time. They are entitled to their salary. They took the right action by ordering the arrest of Samuel Tweah to show reason why he shouldn't be held in contempt. But he begged for mercy, and so they granted him mercy. So let me ask you something. Was that a good precedent set by the Supreme Court? Where was the Supreme Court actually a little bit considerate here? Could they have done more? Should they have been so harder on Samuel Tweah? Because from what we know, he has refused to appear several times. He failed to fulfill his promises made to that branch of government. Should they have locked him up? Samuel Tweah, in the arrest order, was arrested by the marshal and was taken to court. He had no other option, because in the rate of arrest, they did not include any of the deputies. The arrest order did not say if he cannot come, any one of the deputies should show up. That was not the case. The arrest order was solely and wholly for Samuel Tweah alone. So he could not use the usual tactics of sending out a Samara Wolokoli to show up for him to escape being asked the tough questions and to face his own shadow. This is the very Samuel Tweah, folks, who, because of a so-called passing score in the MCC scorecard, they were having a dinner in his honor at the Memorial Center Hall. And Samuel Tweah was speaking as though Jesus Christ has come to save Liberia with billions of dollars. And the guy was talking as though things were in place. Liberia is at that place now that we can all be pleased. He was sweating profusely. He's a great speaker. He's good with words. That's his strength. And so he was all over the place, gesticulating and using all the energy in his being, talking about what a monumental achievement it is for passing 12 out of 20 indicators by the MCC. Folks, you will celebrate passing MCC scorecard and you don't have money to pay your own staffers or employee as a government, and you are celebrating. It's like a father who caught children hungry and he's celebrating that he's won the marathon. Well, some things that we need to make clear to you here so quickly, folks. So the judiciary branch of government got so many reasons for their actions. One of which is, you heard about harmonization. The harmonization policy was inherited by the government. The government went and executed that. By inherited, what I mean is it was already agreed upon that salaries in the country needed to be harmonized. If you remember, during early time, few people were making too much, and people on the same pay grade or at the same level in terms of government were being paid different amounts. If you were a finance minister, probably you came from America, you were being paid $25,000, $15,000, $16,000 US. And if you were minister at, say, Commerce, and you will be paid, a different amount. There was significant imbalances in the salaries and allowances of most of the government officials. And that was not fair. If I'm a minister, it shouldn't matter whether I'm Minister of Education or Mr. X, Minister of Finance or Minister of Agriculture. The fact that we all have ministerial status, we should be paid the same. That was not the case. That needed to be done, but the previous government failed to do so. And so this government decided to carry on the harmonization, and they call it harmonization and standardization. That impacted the judiciary branch of government. Now, before harmonization, the judges and I believe associate justices, they were making 22,000 Liberian dollars salary. And that 22,000 Liberian dollars salary was non-tax. Let me put on the screen for you. 22,950 Liberian dollars. 22,950 Liberian dollars was being paid as non-taxable allowance for judges. But non-taxable means that this amount, nothing was taken off it as tax to go in government coffers. So they were getting the net amount of $22,950, the judges. Now, on top of that, they were getting US 5,000 as an allowance for them. All right? They were getting US $5,000. On top of that, before harmonization, they were also getting 350 gallons of gasoline. That was what most judges and associate justices were getting as their compensation. When harmonization came in, they got harmonized. And what happened? What happened was their 22,950 Liberian dollars that was non-tax were completely wiped away by harmonization. Harmonization wiped their $22,950 away. That one was not taxed. Harmonization wiped it away. What got left for them was 5,000 United States dollars. And that 5,000 United States dollars is taxable. In other words, taxes has been taken off of the 5,000 United States dollars as salary for judges and I believe associate justices as well. So it's been taxed. So they lost $22,950. That was not taxed. They got left with 5,000 United States dollars and it's been taxed. Chances are that after taking taxes out of, they're walking away with maybe 4,000. I'm just guessing here. I don't know the exact figure. My research did not go that far. All right. So these are staff or employees of the government who experience significant cuts in their income. And yet this very income is not on time. That is why they are not happy they have to take this decision. Now, their allowance got completely abolished. Like in the first information I show you, their allowance was 22,000. It was not taxed. That is what has been taken away. So that allowance has been abolished completely. They lost their $22,950. Now, the only thing that is not taxed for them now is their gasoline, even though it got cut, right? So initially, before harmonization, they were getting 350 gallons of gasoline. After harmonization, it reduced to 135 gallons, and it is not taxed. So that is the reason why they are not happy. So, well, we got a significant cut. Our gasoline got cut, all right, significantly. We lost $22,000. That was non-taxed. We are left with 5,000 United States dollars, and it's been taxed. And then it's not on time. So where are we going? Where do we take money from now to feed our families? to pay our bills and help other relatives who are not working and need our help. That is why you saw your favorite finance minister right there, Samuel D. Tweah, in court with his eyes looking at somebody speaking there, I believe, begging for measure, and he's looking so much dispirited because he was not able to fulfill the promise that he made to members of the judiciary branch of government. So, folks, there is something that is important I need to emphasize here. This is very, very, very important. So, there is something they call judicial canons. In the judicial canons of Liberia, particularly chapter 6, which is titled Government Pay Officials, I will read that for you here and explain that. It provides that the judge is a government pay official and must be paid adequately. He holds an exalted position which prevents him from engaging in any business pursuit. Therefore, he must be provided with the necessities of life and with every means by which he will be able to perform his judicial duties effectively, efficiently, and speedily. So you see, as a judge, as an associate justice, you don't have any other means of earning income. Our laws restrict you to that one income you have. And it goes by saying that responsibility of a judge and an associate justice, all right? It is a sacred responsibility. It is exalted. So, because this person is not entitled by law to earn income anywhere else, that person, the law says, must be paid to the point that the person will be encouraged to carry out that role as a judge and associate justice effectively, efficiently, and speedily. Justice might not be speedier if the person has not taken pay and is worrying about how his children will go to school, how he will eat, and if he does not have gas in his car, how does he get to court? And if he has to get to court by all means, probably he's going to borrow money from somewhere. Or if he can't borrow, somebody going to give him a gift that he's going to accept. And maybe that person will show up in court one day, and now he will be seeing somebody who was there for him or her at the time he actually needed money. That person might compromise right there to return the favor that was given to them. In that instant, justice is not being dispersed fairly. So, the law is clear that based on the exalted position, it prevents them from engaging in any other business pursuit. And as a result, they must be provided with the necessities of life. And folks, you know, what other necessities do these judges and associate justices have other than their little salary? And this is the salary that has not been paid on time by your posterior talking finance minister who knows it all. Mr. Tweah, I'm going to be tough today, brother. We are talking governance here. We are talking serious matters here. All right? You can't keep making promises that you can't keep. And so, folks, that is the judicial canon. That judicial canon is the foundation for fairness, transparency, and the goal here is to prevent any temptation that will come from anybody to a judge or to the associate justice to compromise the law. That is the essence of the judicial canon. So it's clear that these people, the role that they play in our society, it is exalted. It is a delicate responsibility. It prevents them from pursuing any income in any place whatsoever. And as a result, the canon states they should be provided with the necessity that they need to carry on their work. And any effort on the part of anybody to disallow the provision of the necessity will be an attempt to make them prone to temptation, corruption, and then justice will be up for sale. So, folks, it continues by saying the judge must be encouraged and given the incentives to live a decent and dignified life that will prevent financial and domestic worries and enable him to repel temptation which is susceptible to human life. So you see there, folks, it's clear, very clear. They say the judge must be encouraged and be given the incentive to live a decent life. When a judge has not been taking pay for 2 months, that judge is not living a decent life. All right? That person may not have food at home. And that is not dignified at all. Because it said must live a decent and dignified life. When a man is not paid, when a man does not have food or the woman does not have food to feed his family, to take care of his responsibilities, that is not dignified, especially when this person holds an exalted position in governance. And it continues by saying, that will prevent financial and domestic worries. A judge should not be going to work and be worrying about what his family or her family will eat, how their children will get to school. But this is the case now because the finance minister has failed to pay these people. Now they're worrying about how their family will eat. And if somebody dishes $1,000 brand new notes in front of them, probably that judge have not eaten for days, no food in the house. Papa going home, there's no plastic bag. They are human beings. They might yield to temptation. That is the essence of the judicial canon. As the priest of justice, a judge should not be given the cause to be corrupted in the performance of his judicial duties, so as to be justified for any disciplinary action taken against him if found deficient in those qualities. So you see, it's clear that these are human beings. They are susceptible to anything, like any of us. And the way to prevent that is to make sure they have the basic necessity that will give them a decent and dignified life. And in Liberia, the only foremost thing they have is that their little salary that's already been harmonized by the very administration and by the Samuel Tweah. They harmonized the people's salary. They lost $22,000. The $5,000 US that they left, it's been taxed. Maybe they left with $4,000 or less. And then the 350 gallons they have is also being cut to 135 gallons. So, folks, the constraints already set in. And that is not on time. And that is why they needed to call the finance minister. And there he is begging and crying for mercy. I thought he said he's raising record-breaking revenues. I thought he said the budget has grown up to 800 million plus. What is he doing with the money? The LRA, The Liberia Revenue Authority, anytime they issue a report, they say they are raising record-breaking revenue. The government continues to tell us that Liberia is raising more domestic revenue more than ever in its history. And yet people are not paid. The legislative branch of government too, I listened to Darius Dillon the other day on Joy FM, they have not been paid for 2 months. Civil servants across the nation have not been paid for 2 months. Oh, how I wish the Supreme Court who have allowed this man to go to jail so that he would take his responsibility very seriously. How I wish that could have happened. That would not have done anything to him. He's more of a politician than a finance minister. That's who he actually is. So maybe he should have smelled something. But the court didn't lose because they decided to have compassion on him. I hope Samuel Tweah has learned something here. But folks, Samuel Tweah made a promise that he will pay them in at least a week time. What if he fails? If he fails, he can get arrested. If he gets arrested, or they can decide to find him and arrest him and put him behind bars. So I hope Samuel Tweah knows what he's talking about. He should take some of that record-breaking revenue and pay the judges and the associate justices and members of the judiciary branch of government. They need their pay, they deserve it, and they should get it. And so, folks, that is the information that we try to bring to you. And I hope we were able to do justice to the topic and provide our little analysis there that might be, meaningful. Maybe to some people it might be not meaningful at all. So, folks, I brought you the topic. Samuel Tweah appears in court and bears for mercy for his failure to appear before the Supreme Court after he's been called to show reason why he's not being able to pay them. An arrest warrant was issued for his living body to be brought to court, and the marshal was able to grab Samuel Tweah, and he had no other options other than to show in court and to beg for mercy. I told you I've used some of the millions that he said have been raising to pay these people. All across the country, people are protesting. As we speak, Legis is in chaos and is linked to this finance minister. He is the one who's supposed to provide the money. The record-breaking revenue, the huge budget is not helping. People who have been contracted or employed to do the work are protesting for pay. Alleges census has been postponed over and over and over. Why? Primarily because of money and corruption, ineptitude, and incompetence on the part of those alleges and the finance minister, who has some kind of supervisory role there, is not also doing that. And yet he wants to celebrate netting 12 out of 20 indicators of an MCC scorecard and was celebrating that, and yet he cannot do the most basic thing of paying people who have worked. And so there was our finance minister, Samuel D. Tweah. D. Tweah was made to appear in court. And so, folks, this is how we will come to the end of this presentation, this edition of the Hour of Politics. We will take a short break. When we come back, we'll read a few comments. And after reading those comments, I will give a succinct closing to mark the end of the broadcast. So please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Thank you. You are the only participant in the conference.
So, folks, I'm back with you, and I want to say thanks for staying with us here throughout the broadcast. I have talked to take some calls. I want to hear your take. I want to hear your take. What do you make of the move by the Supreme Court for the full bench to have acted in a manner that did with a unanimous decision to cite Samuel D. Tweah and ensuring that he did appear other than to beg for mercy. Should Samuel Tweah fail again, what would you rather than do to him? So, folks, this is the number to call. The number to call is 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791-403 #, and you will be given the opportunity to speak or forever hold your peace. The number is also posted in the Facebook live feed here. The number is also in the strolling text below. I am all set to take your phone calls. If you wish to participate, it's all yours now so that we can hear from you. We want to give you the opportunity, to speak your mind or forever hold your peace. So while we wait for phone calls, I will try to read some comments from Liberians who have chosen to write as a way of contributing. So, folks, again, the number is 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791-403 #. That number is posted on Facebook. That number is in the student text below. Let us hear you. We read some comments. This one from Sunday Toba. Good afternoon, my dear brother. And Toba, I hope I got your name right there. Let's hear from Famula here. Good afternoon, Mr. C. Here from Kai here. I'm watching from southeastern headquarters of Zelu Whiskey. I don't know about that one. So let's hear from Larry Wall. Good evening, my dear brother. Let's hear from Bandy Culture Worldwide. So they won't allow it happen to them, but they can allow civil servant to go months and even a year without pay. Let's hear from the man Mayfield Deco. I hope she's not pretending to be dispensing justice only to somersault in the nearby future. We are watching with eagle eyes. She tried to show some muscles there. That's a little more impressive, but I don't know if she could go far enough. Joe Manjala writes, servants didn't get paid either, but we cannot hear the Supreme Court saying anything. I think my civil servants didn't get paid either, and we didn't hear the Supreme Court say anything. The Supreme Court, I think, according to my lawyer friend, they don't go looking for cases. So if somebody has taken the case to court that, hey, I have not been paid and I have family to feed, I'm in distress, maybe the Supreme Court will have acted, maybe. Let's hear from the man, Evis Morris. It's a national security risk not to pay our judges and justices. Tweah should rightfully be held to account for failing to uphold his fiduciary responsibilities to the judiciary. The boy is speaking some big bug here. Let's hear from Konya Lofa. Did he get arrested today? Of course, he was picked up by the marshal and taken to court where he begged like a little boy crying for mercy. Emmanuel S. Kuroma, no mercy, our people are suffering. Let's hear from Prince Jimmy. He definitely needs to be arrested. He got arrested. Let's hear from the man Tobasi. Yes, a long one. Do not allow yourself to be corrupted by Eugene L. Fagon. Great deception against people whose reputation and body of work he cannot match. Folks, the only way I would believe Eugene Fagon, and I'm talking about Eugene Fagon here, Tobasi has a way of taking something he writes from somewhere and just bring it in and post it. That is not in line with what we're discussing here. Julius Grade, the Liberia High Court was a joke by letting that crook walk out free today. If it was an ordinary Liberian by now, he or she will be behind bars. That person writes. Let's hear from Papi Keitaya. Good evening to Liberia CDC Papi Success Keita from Duporo. He's making his presence felt, I can tell. Like you have from Charles Lorenzo Davis, Evis, held accountable in Liberia. Rest in peace, Princess Cooper. That person is saying if Princess Cooper did not get justice, if there was no justice, and you think they're going to hold Samuel Tweah accountable, if no one was held accountable for the death of that girl, I think that's the point that person is making. Like you have from Sam Odu, fake government. God will expose them for deceiving the Liberian people in their suffering. Let's see if we have some calls as we speak. The man Aliu Kamara is standing by. I will always announce Aliu as an ardent supporter, unapologetic, unbending, unrelenting supporter of JMB. Dear brother, good afternoon. How you doing? It's always good to have you.
Great, Anthony. Yeah, I hope you're doing great today.
Yeah.
Great show. But for some reason, since the Supreme Court announced the arrest of Samuel Tweah, there has been mixed reaction about it. And for some reason, our people, including myself, do not really know our laws. They do not know our code of ethics and how things are done.
Including me.
And because education has not been adequately provided, we all jump into conclusions. Sometimes it's educated guesses, or sometimes it's just naivety. The Supreme Court is under strict instruction by the Constitution not to discuss or give an opinion about anything that has legal implications unless they are brought before them. And people are whining that the Supreme Court has never come out to make a statement about other things that have been happening in the country that are unconstitutional. Again, the Supreme Court cannot do that by law. The Supreme Court can see you and you are right, completely right. They dare not make a statement unless you go to them. That is the law. And people must understand that. Okay? But the whole thing, I think that whole thing was stage managed. It is constitutional for the Supreme Court to actually arrest anybody in the country. But that stuff was stage managed. Okay? Whatever you saw Samuel Tweah doing, he wasn't doing it in remorse.
What was your explanation of state knowledge? Explain to our listeners. What do you mean by that?
No, let me tell you something. The most powerful group of people in Liberia are the elected. Usually they call Samuel Tweah tell them to go to hell. What happens when he does that?
Nothing happens.
Okay. Samuel Tweah could have refused to go to that Supreme Court. Who do you think had the balls to arrest Samuel Tweah? The police director? You think that was possible?
I don't think so.
That was not going to happen. Okay? So the whole thing is a gimmick. I mean, in as much as stands to prove to the Liberian people that there is some form of justice or the Supreme Court has some ability to bite, even though we also know that constitutionally they have the power to do the things that they say, but we also know that we have an imperialist president that even the Supreme Court will bow to. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you look at the kind of country we're in. This is a country that passed MCC. And I can understand how these guys carry out their own investigation. I don't even know whether they know what they're doing. And I'm talking about the Americans themselves. This is a country where lawmakers are making $8,000 to $15,000 including benefits. And you have the judicial branch of government through the Supreme Court of Liberia that cannot make more than $5,000. And you tell me that there would be dispensation of justice equitably. I mean, how is that possible when the people who are supposed to make sure that the law is steady are living under strenuous circumstances? And the ones who are supposed to enforce the law by force, they're supposed to be forced To enforce the law, but the judicial system has the milk and honey. They have the power, they have the money, they can determine the court, Supreme Court. Listen, Anthony. The lawmakers under our Constitution, even though they themselves put that law in there, they can determine their own salaries, they can determine their own benefits. No one can cut their benefits and salaries without their approval. But the executive branch of government has the power to cut the judicial branch of government benefits. Can you imagine that? And they tell us that we have 3 equal branches of government. So the whole thing is the key.
Aliu, to that point, right? Aliu, to that point, somewhere I read that the judicial branch of government salary can only be increased and shall not never be decreased, all right, or cut. The only way it can be done is through legislative enactment. So there was this harmonization and standardization act. They turned it into an act, right? It was passed in 2019. So let me learn now.
Anthony,
let me provide info. I'm not arguing with you.
I read all of that.
Okay.
I don't want you to take too much of your time on that.
Okay.
Show me what act there that you just read a bunch of stuff that you did the 21,000 and this and that. All of those were caught. Show me what legislation was passed before they did that.
That's what I was telling you. The act is called the Standardization Act. All right. And that was what we also refer to as harmonization. It was an act that was passed. So it became legal. The lawmakers have passed it. In fact, when they initiated the harmonization process, right, the judges, they resisted. They initially filed a lawsuit to resist that because they said, hey, this is unconstitutional. The Constitution provides that you cannot cut our salaries. But then they realized that the Constitution gave out an exception, that it can be done through, legislative enactment. So they went it back off, and that's how it went through. So I think it's legal, solid.
Exactly. You just said the point that I was trying to make. When the judicial branch tried to correct them that you cannot cut our pay, they went together as CDC again, like I said, the executive branch with the power and the milk and honey. They figured out a way through the bogus legislatures to do what they did. Everything they do is not constitutional. We know that people have been impeached, and they use the very same law. And people amongst those who made that law that people should be paid, people should be in pain, the very people tell you that it was illegal. People can do things illegally by law. Look at the $30,000 that they were giving them. Okay, by law.
So that is legal corruption.
Corruption. So what they're going to have so much. And this is what I said. We have an imperialist thing going on.
Thank you.
They're going to have so much power that their will be done regardless. But in what country, even in this great United States, show me one lawmaker in America that makes more money than somebody on the Supreme Court bench.
My brother, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for always participating here at Focus on Liberia. And so, folks, this is how we will come to the end of this broadcast with the topic, Samuel Tweah appears in court, begs for mercy. So my conclusion here is the Supreme Court did what it needed to do. To show to Samuel Tweah and the government of Liberia that, look, by law, we are entitled to our pay. We work for it. You are reducing us to nothing. This is the only income majority of us have. The judicial canon law provides that we should be entitled or provided the necessity that we need to live a decent and dignified life. Something that will prevent, or to use the word repeal, us from yielding into any temptation. The failure of this government to make available 2 months salary to the judges, that which has already been harmonized by this very government, just more than reason for them to take this action, and I wish they were as bold as they should have been enough. I mean, this is the Supreme Court. I would have loved for Samuel Tweah, because according to the information we have, credible information, he's been talked to. He refused to appear multiple times. He made commitment. He failed on those commitments. The Chief Justice have meeting with judges and associate justices and staffers, and she assured them that, look, you will take pay by the 7th of November. And it didn't happen. And so they needed to do something, but it's more than likely that was an effort to just put fear in Samuel Tweah to act. I'm not sure they actually intended to show to this man that, hey, you failed your commitment yet, and we need to hold you accountable. It seems to be the whole arrest, though he was, called to the court or brought to the court, taken to the court by the marshal. It was most like a threat, a bluff, and all the interested in here is obvious. It's just their salary. It's obvious, right? Because the only reason they called him was, hey, pay our salary. Because that's the only wrong you've done here. And your failure to appear and to fulfill the promises that you made to us. And you made the Chief Justice to look, ugly in the eyes of her colleagues, judges, and other staff. Because they had a meeting, and she assured them that, hey, you're going to get paid by the 7th. And it didn't materialize. So the goal here was, hey, we'll tell Samuel Tweah he needs to pay us. I'm not sure it was about accountability. If they wanted to hold the man accountable, maybe they should have allowed him to stay beyond bars until they get the salary that they are entitled to. I mean, it's been 2 months now, they have not been paid. September, October, this is November. And now you allow Samuel Tweah to beg for mercy, and you granted him mercy. The only thing the Supreme Court is interested in here is the money that they want to pay their bills and do whatever they want to do with the money. They are not interested in accountability. The man should have been held accountable until he delivers. But he left, they cut him loose on a basis of a name promise, as though this is the first time promising them. He's made several promises that he failed. How many promises do you want to get? So if the judicial body is only interested in just getting their salary and not holding the man accountable for his refusal, his disrespect to the highest court in the land, then I don't know who is going to hold people accountable. That is why one of the viewers said, these people, had it been an ordinary man, that person would have gone to jail. I don't think anything would have been that bad for them to say, Mr. Tweah, we're not cutting you loose here until we get our pay. 2 months pass. We've been subjected to, indignity and shame and embarrassment. You are subjected us to temptation to take bribes. It's possible. And we're not going to cut you loose while the president is out of the country and he gets all he wants to be out of the country for 7 weeks. If the president didn't have money, he would not have gone. So the priority now is just the president and not any other person in the country. All others are insignificant. So they exercise their discretion to show some muscles and made him to appear. He appeared, he begged for mercy. They called him loose. That is their discretion. But I don't think that was a way of holding him accountable enough. That is my take. I think I recognize the fact that at least they have acted. Because they would have said, well, let's call the finance minister and just talk to him. And he would say, well, I'll pay you people. Samuel Tweah has been very disrespectful to the legislature. Nothing has come out of it. Leaders are disrespecting each other. And by doing that, they are disrespecting our people, disrespecting this country, and disrespecting our system of governance. This must stop. This must stop. And Samuel Tweah, who claims to have, democratic credentials, is the one behaving in this manner with lies. I have to leave. And I have to say thank you for watching. Liberia will not be built on folks like me yelling and talking about the issues. Liberia will be built because serious minds and conscious individuals have decided to stand for what is right and do it at all costs. This is not what the judiciary branch of government has exhibited. They should have gotten answers. And answers here meaning at least their salary should have been delivered before this man could be cut loose. I think they have said, somebody must say a better example by summoning him. What was the reason of summoning this man in the first place or issuing the arrest? Wasn't it for him to pay you? Did you get paid? And you cut him loose on the basis of promises? But they are lawyers. What do I know? I don't know the law. Maybe they don't want to use draconian laws, or they don't want to exert so much power or abuse power. And so, well, let make him to commit. Let give him a little bit of a briefing space here. Let make him to commit that he will pay us in 2 weeks, and when he fails, then we can call him again. This time we'll be going behind bars. Just maybe that's what they're doing. But I would not have wasted time to hold him accountable until he delivers. I have to go, and I have to say thank you, and I have to say this is how we will come to the end and the end of yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. And folks, the sun is always, we are all Liberians. And that sun is closing yet another broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. So until I catch you when I do again, the name is always Anthony Sier with your favorite program, The Hour of Politics, especially the analytical one. Thank you. Enjoy the song. We have all Liberians. And bye-bye, folks.
Liberian.